Hi everyone, and welcome to yet another video on Flaky Jake Paintball. This one is going to be about my I purchased it about 6 months ago, and I'd recently received it probably about a month ago, and I didn't want to do a video on it before I'd played with it. I wanted to play with it so I can come in with a bit more knowledge. Because like I think I've said in my other videos, I'm not an expert. I'm just going off someone who's only recently gone into mag-fed paintball and kind of want to just share my experiences. So I'm just going to quickly grab a mag, just for the purposes of this video. Okay, so first things first, and I will say this, it is very big and like chunky. When you first grab the pistol, it almost feels like the grip is way too big. I mean, look, you can see there, I only just get my thumb over. And in comparison to the mag, my hand's not exactly small, so it does feel very hefty and big. The mag release, not the mag release, the safety pins are very difficult to push through. That side not so bad. If you're pushing it from safe to fire, it's a bit tough. I have had a game where I've charged someone, gone behind them, gone trying to pull, oh no, it's not firing, quickly, it's unsafe, push it through. Luckily I've managed to push it through, but it's I think it just needs wearing in, realistically. It's just it's a bit tough. Okay, so before we go on into any deeper into the gun, so we'll just go from the basics really. The magazines. Magazines are really smooth, nice and easy go in. They've got spring loaded, so they slide out into your hand, which is, I could tell you now, is very nice to have, as opposed to just like gravity drop, so to speak. You can be sideways on the floor and you can eject them like that. Works really well. In terms of loading them, again, look at that. Easy, and you can just drop them in and then load up. So if you are playing woods ball like me and you've maybe got a few, like a bag of paintballs in your dump pouch or somewhere, you can on the field quickly drop them, load them all in, back in, and you're off. And I know everyone says this in their videos on the Tipx, although most of them are really old. Is the CO2 compartment thing that you put these in, which I do think is really nice. You just, and this is a full one by the way, you just drop it in like so. Now I have tightened mine slightly because I had to fix a little leak, which isn't so bad, but you push it in, push forward and turn. That is now in, and there's no gas in the gun, which you will hear when I puncture it. I will have gas leaking out the back. I'll mention about that in a minute, because there's not a lot of information for the newer gen Tipx pistols out there. This is the latest gen as of when did I buy it? Well, actually no, I've received it last month, so it'll be about September 2020 ish, something around there. So yeah. The first thing I do, so we've got the cartridge in there. I'll pull the trigger now, and you should hear gas coming out the back, which I'll show you now. Oh, okay, maybe not this time, but basically, on the older gens, you would have a pressure relief valve that in the instructions would say you would put another Allen key. You've got the Allen key slot here, which is for your velocity adjustment, and you'd have another one in there, which is that little gold plate inside, I don't know if you can see, and that would be to adjust your relief pressure. Now they've took that out in the latest models, and there's an automatic one built in. So what it is, if your velocity adjustment is too high, so you're shooting too hot, it will automatically bleed out the back, as opposed to you having to adjust it to what you want, which I guess is okay, but I think this at the moment is chronoed at about 260-ish. When I have hit people with them, they have exploded, so I guess, whichever way it goes really. But yeah, so that's punctured now. That should be live. Now I have not got no painting, so I'm not wearing a mask, but I can just shoot that now. There you go. So that's definitely got air in it. There you go. So it's leaking out the back now, and I believe it's because my velocity is slightly too high. Because every so often it will stop. Like it doesn't happen all the way through. I think it's when it started. It's when it's shooting too hot. Because I contacted Tippman about this, because initially I had a leak down here, which turned out to be my CO2 valve puncher assembly. It was a little O-ring on that sits between the firing pin and the bits inside, basically. Which is why I ended up buying this from Flask Paintball. And no, this is not a sponsored video. I was hunting around for cheap O-rings, or not necessarily cheap, but just a box of O-rings. I think the maintenance kit for this is like, I think 40 quid or something stupid. And to be fair, most of the parts inside are fine. It's only O-rings that go bad, especially with CO2. You know, it dries the O-rings out, they split, etc, etc. So I thought, okay, well, let's find O-rings, because they're the ones that seem to blow. So I think this cost me £18, and that's got, as you can see, it's 3 O-ring rebuilds for the Tipx pistol. And you can see from there, there's quite a lot of O-rings in there. I've already had to change, like I said, the fire pin O-ring, which fixed my leak, which is really nice. But yeah, I'll quickly just shoot the rest of this off. I'm not going to open the gun out, but I will I'll try to say as much as I can about it, but here. Let's get it up a bit. It still goes up. You can leave it a few seconds and it will charge back up technically. I don't actually know the science behind it, but it will kind of gain a bit of air that you can, enough to shoot around basically. But essentially that's out now. And I can just twist the barrel, pull it out, and there you go, it's out, and you can just whack another one in, and that is stone cold. I don't know if you can see the frost on it, but that's really cold. Let's put that in my bin. Now, I do absolutely love this pistol. It has saved my ass a few times, especially because it's. I know I said it was big earlier, but it's so small compared to my T15, which is, you know, humongous. If you're trying to peek a corner with a T15, especially for me, like dominant on the right hand, it's weird holding it in the left. It's a bit difficult. So when you're peeking with that, it's the first thing they see. They're like, right, oh look, there's a long barrel peek in the corner there. You know, that's obviously someone there. Whereas this, I can hold it tight to my head, and I can peek. You know, just close my right eye and peek left. And I can shoot people with it. Where it's hard to do that with the rifle, because it's, you know, it's big. So this is really useful for that. I do have one complaint with it, and that's the mag release, and this is why they've got so many magazine mods for it. If you're shooting like that, you cannot release the mag in this position. I mean, can you see where my fingers and thumb is? The mag release button is there. So if that's my shooting position like that, I cannot reach that button. So in order to reload, you kind of got to flip it in your hand like that, to that position, put your new mag in, oh, like so, and then you can't shoot like that, can you? So you got to flip it back again and shoot. So you kind of got to get into this motion of, you know, of reloading, bang, 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 and then keep going like that. So I've sort of been practicing this move a little bit, because I don't want to get caught out reloading in the middle of a game. In terms of the insides, I mean, it's all very basic stuff. It's very easy to take apart, put back together. It's all self-explanatory, really. The only thing that I kind of didn't understand to begin with was the trigger, but I think that's just down to stupidity. I've never had a gun that's a clamshell one before, but it's got, the trigger goes in, it's got a little slot that you slot it into, and then there's a pin that goes through the middle of it as well. So you've got a thing that it slots in and clips in on both sides, and there's another pin that keeps it in place. And that's pretty much it, really. But the gun is, honestly, it's a lifesaver. If you, whether you're playing scenario or woods ball with a mag-fed gun, this is definitely a good choice. Unless you want compact, in which case go for the FSC. But the reason why I went for this and not the FSC is the fact that, one, this magazine is just light. It is light as hell, easy to reload, you know. And if you want to put, if you need to change the CO2, it's just a quick. I say quick, mine's just a bit awkward because I put it back together a little bit dodgy, but it's fine. You just put it in, twist, and it's back in. With the FSC, the CO2 resides in the magazine, and you pop the CO2 in, you then twist this thing to puncture it, and then that mag will shoot, I think, about, that CO2 will shoot about 3 mags roughly. Now that's fine, but that's a lot of work, do you know what I mean? I think you've got to have 3 mags punctured, so that's 3 CO2s punctured regardless. And it just, I think the mags will weigh a lot more. And plus, this uses 12 gram CO2s. The FSC, I believe, uses 8 gram, unless you use the old, I think it's either T9.1 or 2.8.1 mags. They use the 12 gram and they are compatible with the FSC. Now they use the 12 grams, but the reason why I mention it is for 50 12 grams, I think it cost me about 15 to 20 quid. 8 gram CO2 cartridges I've not seen a lot of. There's a load of like soda stream ones for the food, and I don't know if they have enough pressure in them or pressure output to kind of to work in guns. I've never tried, but if you buy them officially, I think it's about 35 quid for 50 or something like that, and that is a lot more expensive, especially if you're running CO2 only. But I will be changing this from CO2 to HPA. I just need to get a remote line. And when I do get that, I will do a video on installing it. I know there's loads out there, but it's always good just to have one anyway. They do have these windows on, and again, this is something everyone mentions, to see your paint. Now, this, in my experience, only matters if the paint that you're using is bright coloured. So if it's got a bright yellow shell, then that works. If you're using like my local field, it tends to be like half and half shell, half green and half brown or something. And if they do use that kind of colour, these windows are basically useless. If you were in a game, you look how much paint I got, you would not see at all how much paint you've got. It makes zero difference. But all in all, like I said, absolutely amazing gun. I couldn't recommend it more to anyone, especially if you got a long gun like mine. I will say the holster for this gun is absolute dog shit. I would not use it. I hate drop leg holsters. The straps are just awkward. Unless you've got a proper belt, you can't get it to your leg properly. I strapped it to my rig to test out, and it was comfortable, but it then pulls the chest rig down and to lopsided, and it's just. Ideally you want to get a molly, get like a belt with some molly on it or something, or that fits this holster, and just use that instead. Unfortunately, I've not found any yet, so if anyone has found a molly holster that fits this, or a holster that will fit it for just the standard like duty belt things, then please let me know, because I've been looking and it's an absolute nightmare so far. But yeah, I'm definitely enjoying this gun so far. I am going to replace that mag release for an ambidextrous one, and what that is, it's basically a plate that sits along here that you can use your finger to push down. So you can use your finger to push down, or maybe like that, and that will release the mag, as opposed to pressing this button in, because that is really finicky. But yeah, all in all, thumbs up from me. I would definitely rate this. So yeah, thank you for watching.